But let me quickly double check. I think we're good to go. Just hold on a minute. I think we'll have a few people coming in, and then once I get confirmation of that and that audio, video, everything is fine, I think we'll start. Maybe just another 30 seconds. I can see that there are people coming in. Okay, I think we'll start.
Sure.
All right, I have confirmation as well. Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of us here at Arcana, talking all things abstraction, improvements to user experiences in general, but most of the time just talking about the state of crypto. And today we have a very interesting guest, a dear friend of mine who I met quite recently for the first time when we were having Token 2049 over in Dubai. We have Neo here who leads up all things tech at Kaya. Hello, Neo, and welcome to the podcast today.
GM, everybody. This is Neo from Kaya. So probably I just pop off with a little bit background for myself. Has been in the Web3 since probably 2015, 16. I think 15 when we first saw the yellow paper of Ethereum. That's the point that we all got really excited. Have a programmable smart contract. We can build software on Web3. During the time I was involved in different consultancy projects and got directly architect of one of the diamond tracing project, which is the very early versions of the RWA, the real world asset that we talk about. That was back in 2016, 17. We were tokenizing diamond at that time. But anyway, so different institutional product have been building, got some experience working for different layer 1, layer 2. Also research, leading research and teaching in university as well, some of the universities that I involved in. And all the way coming to, from Clayton all the way to Kaya, leading technology, mostly focusing on the ecosystem infrastructures to make sure we have the, good environment, development environment for our developers, building amazing product on Kaya and of course, adopting the users for the Web3. But yeah, so just a bit more self-intro, but I think we're going to dig a bit deeper onto the Kaya project.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A bunch of things to talk about. I think some very interesting things you guys are doing over at Kaya. I'd like to think that we've made it slightly more interesting with the addition of Arcana chain abstraction, of course. We'll talk a bit about that. And but I think you also brought up some very interesting points, which in my head is something that we have been thinking about, how in crypto we sort of come full circle. The initial days it was all about proving provenance, RWAs, much like tokenizing diamonds and proving the authenticity of it in like sort of like how you started. And it's great to see that we are back to pretty much, or we seem to be getting back to fundamentals in a certain sense. And the time is probably right for us to start onboarding more and more users with and building useful apps that will actually help us do so. And you guys are absolutely like at the forefront of it. But I think it'd be great if you could just tell us a bit more about how you guys are going about looking to onboard these Web2 users to Web3 and giving them this experience where they probably even don't know that there's a blockchain. So what is the Kaya ecosystem bringing to make all of this happen?
Before that, I think you also mentioned a point that we come into the first full circle, and I have been already gone through a few cycles already, just being honest. And I think getting to fundamental is, I would say, basic, because we are all looking for mass adoptions. And just being honest, this may be the 10th anniversary for me in the Web3 world. we have not yet actually achieved the mass adoptions in our industry. It doesn't matter that you join on January 2021 after COVID, or you joined very recently, like last year. The fact is, we are not yet there. And that's the reason, and that's kind of the problem at Kaya we're trying to solve. So getting into Kaya, maybe I should spend a few minutes just to talk about the basics, the background about the Kaya project that we are having right here. I think that would be fair to the audience, instead of just random layer one that brought in by Akana. Obviously not random, maybe just that we are not in the right market for you serving that, so maybe you don't know about the brand. Anyway, so Kaya is actually via the chain merge between the KakaoTalk blockchain, which is Clayton, and also the Line blockchain, which is Finchia. From last year, we merged to become Kaya. We inherit the Clayton layer one, which is the EVM. So we keep it as the EVM layer one right now, as Clayton has been running for longer than, I think, 6 years already since we launched our mainnet back in 2019. We have been a very reliable and stable network layer one, EVM layer one in the market. Maybe compare with what we had before from last year, Clayton, we are comparing to have better UX compared with different protocol. But given the background, we are all EVM. We were starting from solving some fundamental UX problems from Ethereum to start with back in 2019. At that time, people were talking all things about, there are so many memes that if you open up your empty wallet, that's the logo of Ethereum. That's a meme that if you use Ethereum and pay for the gas fee on Ethereum, basically you'll be broke. I mean, the point being right here is like user experience come from the users actually can enjoy fast, stable network for whatever that use cases that they are having. And at the same time, they don't have to put a lot of, say, like cost or gas fee on it for every transactions that they're going to go out. We were going with very UX focused to have Clayton. And then right now we progress to be Kaya. Since the chain merge, because KakaoTalk and Line messengers actually cover 80% of digital, I would say, interactions in Asia or sales in Asia. The point I'm trying to make is both messengers, they are with the concept of super app back in Asia. In the West, for example, when I'm based in London, we only use WhatsApp or maybe Telegram for messengers purposes. We might have some kind of semi or semi super apps, say like maybe Uber. You can do more things than just book a ride. You can order food. You can book a train right now in London with Uber. So with this concept of super app in Asia via the messengers, basically you can do everything about your living on one app on the messengers. Transfer, call a taxi, buy an insurance, send some, I would say database coin like that for you to buy the stickers, very cool stickers online messengers. You can do literally everything with your friends. So the point I'm trying to make is based on these, I would say super app concept from the messenger's perspective, that set a very good foundation and environment for us to actually build mini apps or mini dApps on top of it. So we are very much as a messengers layer one right now, as a major one in the blockchain industry. And also we are very much into building the mini dApps ecosystem that is powered by the super app messengers itself in Asia. So that is everything about Kaya that we are going on to. Of course, during this session, we could look into a bit more detail on what do you mean by, mini dApps, which area of mini dApps that you're looking into. Is it like, that's kind of .coin games that you're talking about, or is it something that about DeFi that you're looking into, or even a DeFi agents that we talk about? But I'm quite sure maybe we could get into a bit more detail as time goes on.
Yeah, no, that's precisely where I want us to go next. You started out by saying that a lot of people may not know a lot about Kaya, especially because there's been, of course, the rebrand, but of course the rebrand is on top of like a base chain that's been running for a very, very long time. It's very popular for Flayton, of course. And the other thing that you did say is that your focus has been very it's crucially been on a very specific market, geo market, and which is why a lot of people, especially in the West, may not recognize this. I think the third thing you also mentioned is that how like mass adoption is basically like a meme today, right? You said you're yourself 10 years in. There have been people who've been longer or shorter, and we've not seen that happen. And at this point, it's just a meme, because the only thing perhaps that has seen some sort of like product market fit is probably the speculative side of our industry. And maybe there are things beyond that, maybe there aren't. But we are most definitely at the cusp of it. But I think you guys are at the cutting edge of it, the frontier. I like to think of you guys as this absolute distribution behemoth that can actually onboard a lot of people onto Web3. But I think it'd be only fair if we sort of like, you know, go beyond that sort of marketing speak and lip service where you're saying, oh, we are going to onboard millions of people and we are serving this market and we have these big name partnerships and things like that. Can you tell the audience in greater detail how this is all going to pan out? What is the immediate roadmap of Kaya, where realistically these millions of people are going to be coming onto Web3, and how you guys are going about doing that?
Given the background, we are the Messengers blockchain project from both Messengers combined. Basically, Kaya, since the chain merge, we're officially the exclusive layer one serving both messengers. Any Web3 elements for both messengers coming out, it will be by default deployed on Kaya as a layer one, and we will be the network, exclusive network to serve, these kind of innovations or Web3 elements. Given this kind of background, from both messengers combined, we are already looking into a goal of serving, more than 250 million monthly active users, not just I think not just accumulated users that has ever had an account on the messengers, but monthly active user 250 million that we talk about in individual Asian regions to start with. Of course, when the messengers go on to different continents to have their own market or expansions for their own messengers, we will be following that because the Web3 elements could exclusively deploy on Kaya. So given this as a background, basically we are very clear on our goal. In the past, we may be one of the layer one, one of the top 50 or 60 layer one that competing with each other, both at EVM, layer one, then layer two, and then you compete with the Web3 native users, so as to be enjoying the slice of the cake or bigger cake that you have in the market. Right now, I'm not saying that we don't care about those Web3 native users. We care every type of users, but our laser focus will be putting on, is there anything that we could do to onboard the 250 monthly active users, 250 millions monthly active users from both messengers? For example, if you have 1% or 10%, if you imagine everybody put $1 like that to be spending, that's 250 millions that we talk about the liquidity freshly minted from the Web2 world and put on the Web3 exclusively on Kaya. So there's a lot of potentials that we talk about right here. Then what's going to happen is I start strictly onto the mini dApps because messengers is, should be building something on Kaya as a layer one. When we realize there's something that could be a good incentive or trigger to onboard the Web2 users from the messengers to the Web3 via Kaya, we found the best strategy is actually building a mini dApps ecosystem. So what does it mean? Essentially, those are mini apps sitting into the messengers application itself. And then you will have all this kind of in-app experience. You don't have to go out, the normal dApps sequences or step. I think you might know, for example, if I just want to transfer a Kaya with you, but you don't have a Kaya wallet, we are talking about, I might need to go for at least 5 to 6 steps, including creating wallet from both sides, both chain, for the chain that you are using, for the wallet that you're using in specific chain. That these are talking about at least 6 steps that we talk about right now. But with the messengers, because you already have the messengers lock-in, the user authentications like that, basically you don't have to do a lot like that already. And we also support different wallet authenticated with you or integrate with the messengers. We are talking about an in-app aggregator, or I would say people like the word abstractions, which we're going to talk about that. I would say this UX abstractions experience that we are having with the abstractions. I think this in-app experience will be making the user easier when it comes to transfer specific stuff, maybe using the games, earn something from the games, transfer something to your friends online, everything happen within the line messengers. So that will be some kind of aggregated experience that we're looking into that could be powered by the mini dApps with an in-app experience on the messengers itself.
That sounds absolutely fantastic.
So that is exactly where we are focusing on for the mini dApps. But on top of the use cases, of course, there are way more, but I think maybe we could go on with further more questions. I'm quite sure we're going to touch some point.
Yeah, no, I think logically it would make sense to break it down into what would be these sort of use cases and paint that picture, because very clearly when you're dealing with like Web2 companies that the likes of say Line or KakaoTalk or any of these messengers, or in more specifically these super apps who are so customer obsessed, right? For them, it's all about customer LTV. What is the churn, and what is the experience like? How much is my retention? You know, these very core sort of metrics that define how well you're doing as a product company. That will obviously, you know, I'm sure it sort of streams down to you guys and says, hey, we need to kind of make sure that users continue to have that sort of experience that they have managed to curate and create over many years, right? And are very successful at doing that. The numbers speak for themselves. So what does that sort of like translate into in terms of day-to-day thinking at Kaya? Like, what are the things that are most important, and how do they manifest in, if you could, you know, illustrate a few of these examples of mini dApps and what the experience is like for users? That would be absolutely great. I think it'll just paint that picture so much more clearly.
Yeah, so I think that is certainly a very good question. Honestly, we are running a layer one project day in, day out. We have so many infrastructures that in talks that we would like to enable. And most of the infrastructures that we're looking into is enable the liquidity. We want to break through the liquidity fragmentations by having a lot of liquidity, I would say, plug that is, you know, enabled via maybe bridges, but most importantly, chain abstractions, integrations that we need to have. And certainly, of course, you know, with Akana, that will be some sort of features that could be enabled on Kaya that we will be able to visualize one day, very soon, on the testnet at least. But the point I'm trying to make is that from the Web3 world, from the chain perspective, there's so many infra. But if you're going back to the users, especially from the messengers that we focus, they don't really care about what do you mean by abstractions, what do you mean by liquidity or cross-chain. People talk about multi-chain infrastructures all the time. Do they care? Honestly, user only care about, I want to have the same exact Web2 experience. I don't even call it Web2 if I'm a user. I want to have the same experience that I experience, or even better experience that I have, user experience, on the messengers. Then you bring it on somehow. You guys think about it, how you're going to bring it on that without any changing of my experience or user behavior, that I am onboarded onto the Web3. That's the reason, part of the reason why we went full on the, you know, mini dApps ecosystem on it. Via mini dApps, the dApps could be having an extended format, serving directly to these Web2 users, messengers users, onto the same, messengers applications that we talk about. You mentioned about there is a lot of Web2 like UX that, you know, the messengers perspective will be really pinning down any Web3 dApps, any mini dApps. You should be, you know, sharing the same set of experience. Yes, we are looking into that, and that's why with the mini dApp, you don't really feel a lot of differences. You don't feel like it's slower. You don't feel like it's a bit more lagging. You only feel like, oh, maybe I still need to create the wallet, you know, from the mini dApp's perspective, from the messengers, like a line messengers perspective, and how I'm going to integrate it from the in the first place. So basically, the integration itself is make it really easier. And when the builders, they build the mini dApps, we do have a specific, I would say, the line mini dApps SDK for them, so that they will be able to integrate on the line messengers with the aspect of, for example, people talk about authentications, Now you don't really need to think about another set of authentication onto the mini dApps connect with your wallet. Basically, you can use of your Line ID right away to start with, and you can, with your Line ID, you can integrate with a couple of more wallets that you have, or different kind accounts that you might have in the first place before you dig deeper onto exploring the sea of mini dApps from the dApp portal. So that portal basically is a aggregate, or I would say a abstraction layer of the user experience or user discovery of the mini dApps. So basically it's a marketplace, so to speak. So on the dApp portal, you will be able to find all the mini dApps that is available for you to use and to play on. And also you will be able to take that as a wallet to manage your portfolio, fungible tokens or non-fungible token. By the way, each of the mini dApps will be planning to have their own mini dApp coin. And with very recently, we also announced the native implementations of USDT. So basically, stablecoin is coming to Kaya, has already here, but we would like to do more. I did not say anything, but if there is any everyday services that we have from different aspects in our life, for example, banking, that should be equivalence of everyday banking, on the Line messengers or maybe on messengers perspective. For example, Web3, that should be Web3 everyday banking equivalent via the distribution channel like ours. Because I always said one thing, whenever we go to different panel, people always talk about multi-chain infrastructures. But how come we have so many multi-chain infrastructures, but our industry has not even been onto the mainstream or massive adoptions? The problem is, yes, we have the abstractions layer to make our UX easier or better onto the multi-chain infrastructures. But then this abstraction layer must be applied to the right channel. Effective in terms of number of users to make that really, like a mass adoptions that we talk about. So I think that is really the kick of it, like how we're gonna plug in a right abstractions layer onto the right distribution channel will be the key for us to have the mass adoptions really maybe for the first time. And for Kaya as a layer one, we really hope we will be the first, make use of our messengers channel, and then trying to give out these kind of innovations, apply these innovations onto this channel, distribution channel, and make it really a mass adoption, really a rock star use cases for any of the mini dApps that's trying to be on top of Kaya and messengers, especially Line messengers to start with.
Got it. Well, this sounds really exciting. You've spoken about things that will help people, the more serious stuff, the stuff that will help people to be productive, how we want potentially like every aspect of banking to basically exist as some collection of mini dApps, perhaps on these messengers for users to be able to use, and of course do well for themselves. But I think you also like very clearly talked about, and this is something that I was speaking to a fellow founder and friend the other day about how things in Web3 ought to be enjoyable, and they need to be fun and engaging. And I think that is seemingly the core focus of the mini dApps on the Kaya ecosystem that will basically be distributed to this platform. And I think the way you guys are thinking about it is so spot on. Like, being able to focus very clearly on things that matter to an existing user base and basically giving them what they need, productivity tools, games, fun little mini apps that then can keep people engaged and let them have, just the better experience that now suddenly the addition of a blockchain and cryptocurrencies can only exclusively provide. And that to me makes it of such a compelling proposition, that it's so steely focused. It knows what it needs to kind of do. It's not trying to like compete with every other L1 from a very generalistic standpoint. I think you guys very clearly know what your strengths are and what what the value prop ought to be, and what are the tools you need to make this happen. And we are so glad to be partnering with you guys to kind of make it happen in our own small way. And we the thing I'm left, like, I would really want to ask you as we come towards the end of the session. I know we don't have too much more time. Is what are your hopes for, like, say, the next 1 year? I don't want to go too far out because lots of things change in crypto on a very long time horizon. But what does the next 1 year of for look like for Kaya and its users? What are, like, the promises that you'd like to make today that we can be sure we'll see over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think 1 year will be enough to have a lot to cover. As we are all in Web3, 1 year could be 10 years already in the Web2 world. People always joke about that. I think you also know that. So for the upcoming next year, from now, we have already proved to the market or industry or even our Web2 users that we have successfully onboarding a major part of the Web2 users via the messengers. Since the start of our Kite Wave program, which is the Kite Wave program actually is a builder support program, helping the mini dApps to be listed on the dApp portal. And then in the messengers, in the line messengers, users will be able to directly going into the mini dApps in the messengers application itself to enjoy the Web3 experience. So to speak, we have launched the Kite Wave program back in January. It's already 170 something days, 176 days, around that range. We have already onboard more than 120 million users within a course of 6 months. I think this is quite an achievement that we are looking into. Now, the first step is a fact already. We have already onboard this amount of users. So how are we going to have more use cases for this user, especially related to the DeFi and stablecoin, will be the key. Because first step was onboarding. Second is we want to have a quality journey for them to actually have a proper Web3 journey with Kaya. You know that everywhere right now in the blockchain industry, the centerpieces right now is all about DeFi. And from the institutional perspective, is all about the stablecoin. And of course, with Kaya having a native stablecoin implementation, this is kind of already kick off the stablecoin applications and also DeFi application on Kaya. So to speak, when Kaya started with the mini dApps, we have onboarded the users. The mini dApps are there. Mini dApps, each of the mini dApps, they will have their own tokenomics for their own tokens. You will see so many TGEs coming up. In our ecosystem, we kind of have quite a lot of ecosystem asset. And on top of it, we would be able to onboarding the Web2 users already on the mini dApps to enjoy their experience on the DeFi layer that we're trying to build. And this DeFi layer, this DeFi layer that we're trying to, kind of implement it for our users, that will be, of course, with the Web2-like UX that we talk about based on the mini dApps. But on top of it is really about mini dApps, DeFi, and then the PayFi that we talk about. Why PayFi? That's one of the reasons why most of the ecosystem that have the stablecoin, because most of the PayFi work perfectly, even with or without license regionally. Different region got different license or regulations, but most of the time, stablecoin will be the first, set of asset that will be able to be accepted by different settlement network. So PayFi is actually one of the way that we look into, because we have the messengers user. We could always connecting the digital sales with the physical merchants or users. And that is something that we could also look into. So this is actually the 3 areas that we look into. Having more DeFi use cases on the mini dApps so that we can have the users from the Web2 getting into the center and the heart of the Web3 DeFi easier. And we have our DeFi layer, which there will be different institutional product with the Web2 UX vector via the mini dApp serving the messengers users on top of it. And then we also have a, kind of a PayFi area for anybody have your own portfolio via the car ecosystem. You'll be looking to maybe spend it or buy it, or maybe, via different off-rampers that we talk about right there. So it's essentially a flywheel of use it, play it on the mini dApps, earn it or earn it more or lose it on the DeFi layer. But I mean, obviously, we could not guarantee, but it's just a Web3 experience that we talk about on the DeFi. And finally, we're looking into span it, like you can actually using it, in real life for whatever hard work that brought to you together with this portfolio. And coming back, you will be going to, use it, play it. It's more like a flywheel that we talk about, and we would like to have more use cases about Kaya and the USDT on Kaya to have more, before UX that we talk about. First of all, we need to have more UX use cases. With those use cases, we will only talk about abstractions and how do we actually bring in the UX, but we need more use cases to give some kind of, I would say, surprise or innovations to the users actually looking into spending the energy, asset or maybe attention onto these use cases as well. So this is where we will be heading into. And then long story short, I think Kaya is going to be I would say, stable coin gateway in Asia. So with the users, we are very much focused on that. We will be serving our Web2 users with I would say fantastic quality of the Web2 experience. But honestly, we also share the same goal as infrastructure's partner like Akana. We would like to make sure from infrastructure perspective, we want to have the abstractions apply to the right channel, distribution channel, so that we will all heading together into a Web3 mass adoptions. And with a distribution channel like ours, we have really tried our best, maybe one of the very few representatives that actually tackling on this puzzle, on this angle, to bring in way more Web2 users to the Web3. And I hope one day we won't talk about Web2 or Web3 anymore. Everybody are the users on the on the blockchain, and then there's no categorizations on these anymore. Everybody are users on the Web3 by default. Maybe we talk about Web4, but that will be something for later.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great last note that you made there. And I think the whole thing is just there are apps and there are users. How do we make these apps fun, engaging, useful, productive for the users and improve their lives? As long as we're doing that, the implementation details are really unimportant to the users and for like the future of like, the proliferation of Web3 in general. And yeah, I think I'm super excited about what you guys have in store. Can't wait to kind of get our partnership going, get more apps, mini apps in Kaya using Arcana. That's a big goal for us here internally. And more power to you guys, man. You guys are very clearly on the money, and I think it's going to be a very bright future. I think on that note, we are just a little bit over time, but it's been a fantastic conversation, Neo. But before we let you go, we typically do this with all our guests. We have a quick rapid fire session. It's going to be a small set of questions. I will ask you them, and I want you to kind of give me a very quick, short response to those questions. Whatever comes on the top of your head. Nothing is financial advice here. It's all fun and games. So if you're ready, Neo, we can kickstart this and before we end the session.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. My first question to you is, are we back? Are we now finally in a bull market? Yes, no?
Yes.
What
you mean short answer, right? Yes.
Short,
yes or no?
This is not financial advice for anybody, guys.
Yes, Neo, but I don't know how long.
Good.
At this moment, yes.
You can feel free to caveat our answers, but again, not financial advice. It's just us having some fun. What is your prediction for Bitcoin all-time high this cycle?
Wow. Double from now.
Double from now. So yeah, a bit over 200.
Within 2 years, double from now.
Okay. All right. Great. Your favorite Web3 ecosystem outside of Kaya?
Ethereum.
Fantastic. In 4-5 years from now, which will be the bigger project / community, Ethereum or Solana?
Kaya. And I would say in 5 years, that should be any ecosystem that have a project related to Web3 bank.
Interesting and very good answer. All right. Great. Yeah. That's basically what we had here today. Thank you, Neo, for being such a sport and for providing not only those great answers at the end, but also for all of the insight that you gave us into like Kaya in general, the journey so far, what lies ahead, your focus areas, and how you plan to win this what is currently this meme that is mass adoption, and basically win over all the critics and skeptics out there. Any last notes?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having Kaya right here. We would be very much happy to support our partner like Akana. We're looking into the chain abstractions layer together to onboard more users. A few more things I'd like to say before we actually go for those listening to this live stream or watching this. So first thing I would like to say, if you're already related or familiar with both KakaoTalk, especially Line messengers, please, if you have not, go to try out the mini dApps, and then after trying that out, going to any forum or any channel related to Kaya to voice out or maybe to suggest anything. First of all, we want everybody to actually try out the mini dApps and being part of the user, so that you will be within our ecosystem and we will be growing onto different sort of experience together in terms of the UX. And second, I would love to say that we are also looking for more use cases. We need to, because we are building an ecosystem. We need more use cases. If you are a builder listening to this, stay tuned for different ecosystem opportunities. Like we are going to announce stablecoin hackathon for different regions, and we also have a major global one, which could be the flagship hackathon for Kaya. We would be very much looking into this onboarding journey for you, winning the hackathon, participating in the hackathon, all the way joining Kite Wave, exposed to different opportunities by different VC, all the way that we will be looking into your strategies of building a product and support you and grow with you and making you will be the rock star mini dApps use cases in our ecosystem with users. And that will be something that will be guaranteed, but we would love to have everybody joining on board with us, onboarding more Web2 users via the messengers with us in one go. Any comment, any suggestions, all welcome. You know where to find us, majorly on X. I think Mayo and the Akana team also tag us everywhere. Feel free to leave some comment. Feel free to reach out to you for any opportunity for collaborations. Other than that, once again, thank you very much, Akana, for organizing this. Really, really honor, to join this, and looking forward to the next one.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Guys, you heard it here from Neo himself. If you are a user, go check out Line and their list of mini dApps that are already there. Soon you'll be able to use almost all of them exclusively with Arcana's chain abstraction, so that you have the most seamless experience. Builders, come and start building on Kaya. It's ripe for innovation, and these guys are going to go a very long way. We know a little bit about their plans for the hackathon, so that stuff is really, really exciting. So go check out their docs and start getting on board there right away. Yeah, Neo, thank you so much, man. Great talking to you, and hopefully we'll do one in maybe a few months from time, and let's just recap where things are, and let's see if we are both on track.
Stay tuned on Kaya and Akana. Speak soon, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.